So the questions that you're asking is, to describe the difference between safe space, brave space, and sacred space. Um, and then how do we create each one of them? And so I think I'll address the first one, the first question, just trying to give a sense of what the differences are of those, at least from my experience. And mind you, this revealing of these ideas are happening in real time. So um, I'm learning as I go. So I don't know how this is going to come out. So safe space is a environment where some people have comfort. Um, and so if you feel comfort and you feel safe, you think everybody's feeling that way. And a safe space isn't usually that way. Some people may be feeling discomfort, but you're calling it a safe space. A brave space is where someone is brave enough to say what's really going on. So if they're not feeling safe, they're able to let people know that. So, and especially in a Quaker environment, we want everybody to feel comfort. We want psychological safety. We want emotional safety. That's what we're aiming for. So in a brave space, at least someone's letting you know that's not what's happening here, so that we could be aware of it and we can do something about it. The sacred space has the element of the brave space, so we're now aware of it. Something's going on here. But what that's about is really seeking truth. Seeking truth, like what is being revealed right now? So there's something going on here that is subterranean. We all don't know what's happening here. So what's the truth of that? What truth is coming forth? And in an example of being in young adult friends environment, in clerking a young adult friends business meeting, and and you'd be we're in the agenda items we're going through, and we're following Quaker process, and it's feeling very deep. But then you as you're clerking, you see somebody with a troubled look on their face, or tears, and what we're talking about really isn't about that. And where's that coming from? And so we have a lot of time in our gatherings, so we just stop, like, what are you feeling? There's something going on over here. And you invite that into the room. And so then you start to find out that the person felt a certain way because of something that just happened, maybe in the last topic, or happened the day before at the gathering. Whatever it is, something is alive there. And so it's the revealing of that truth, like what is really going on. And we found that there's real magic to that mystery, that the spirit's agenda invades us, because there's actually something that we need to be looking at that's beyond this cognitive layout of an agenda that we think needs to be there, which is important, that's led as well, but there's something else that needs to be there. So that's the fundamental difference of the three. Now, let me share some ideas around those three, okay? Because I think there's other ways of subtly looking at it. So a safe space allows some folks to feel unchallenged, okay, which means their subterranean meanings and sometimes harmful words and actions may go unaddressed. So if there's a microaggression going on and the person doesn't even know they're doing it, but they're unchallenged because that is living in the room, and some people are experiencing it. In this way, one person's safe space is often another person's pain space, or their despair space, or withdrawn space, or even panic space. And also it turns into, what am I doing here space? So a lot of our marginalized friends, the space that a safe space creates is, what am I doing here? It also, just leads to, I am out of here space. And I think that's really the tragedy of the safe space, that we're thinking we're creating. And yeah, so I think that's important to understand those differences. And however, in a brave space environment, I find and I'm a number of friends of color groups. It's not just in the dominant Quaker culture groups, that a brave space, once we know something's going on, that in a brave space, it leads to sometimes taking sides or coalition building, and for me, that's not sacred space. Sacred space is where we suspend our judgment and we sense what is to be resolved, because there is truth here, truth, and something that's spoken may be the key thing, but the way it's done, or the microaggressions tied to it, get in the way. So I think it allows us to allow the revealing of the Spirit to take hold. That's really the focus. Now, another level that I see around it is that in a safe space, we stay silent. We're conflict avoidant. We avoid conflict. That's really important to us. We're in pretense, at times, because we're not wanting to step out of that place. In a brave space, sometimes in the coalition building or taking sides, it leads to what I call a cycle of waste, which is you disagree with somebody, so you defend your position, and you get to the point where you really want to defend your position. You can sometimes feel like destroying the other person. That happens a lot in our politics in the United States. And that also pervades, I think, sometimes in a brave space. Whereas in the sacred space, it's an unfolding. It's a cycle, what I call a cycle of dignity, where there's something that you align around, and then how do you act on that and adjust as you learn? Or as Quakers, how do you allow truth to start to be revealed? You share an aspect of the truth, being open to other people's and trusting other people's ability to sense truth and to articulate it, which may be different than what I'm sensing. And then you trust the process and adjust and allow that to come forth. Now, in the safe space, as I said, we're quiet. We stay silent. We don't want to rock the boat. In the brave space, sometimes we'll say ouch, or come out, and we come out of our amygdala. We're in a fight mode. We're angry about something, or we're hurt about something, and it's a different kind of, it's the amygdala kind of response, because it's real. You've had this experience many times, and it hurts, or it just goes very deep. What I find is that in sacred space, when an ouch can be shared, when one is feeling love, you feel love for where that ouch came from. This person, you trust the environment, you trust the people. And I find that the most powerful ouches I've heard are from people that come from that place of love and compassion and caring, and bringing that into the room, that then allows the sacred space to be enveloped. And so there's the beginning of the sacred space that can be done through the ouch in a way of opening it up. And another one is the way that we listen to each other, that when an ouch comes in from a brave space perspective, we're able to settle the room into sacred space. So there's a listening part of it that you can get into it. So how is it created? Well, it's created by listening us into it. And the other way is in saying the ouch, you bring it into the room with love and connection, and able to do that. And I find that that's not an easy thing to do at all, and that there's a lot of healing and work that needs to be done within the Religious Society of Friends. And it's not just us. I have very close Buddhist friends, and the Buddhist community is dealing with diversity issues just like we are. We're not immune. Everyone is dealing with this right now. And the feeling I have is that if we're going to create a multicultural United States of America, it's not going to be the MAGA people that are going to help us how to do that. It's going to take the religious groups, the Buddhists, the Hindus. It's going to take our friends in Islam, and it's going to take Quakers and our Jewish friends to figure out, how do we create a multicultural society that allows brave space. So what's really going on can be articulated and worked with, and then moved into sacred space so that we all can learn the truth as it's being revealed to us, which is our Quaker process. That's the Quaker genius that we have as our practice, is that. And when we feel that, we feel unity, we feel love for each other, and we feel a gathered meeting. And that's really the beauty of our process. And I think we can actually contribute to what we need to do as a larger society of creating a multicultural society. But we have to wake up. We have to wake up to what we're doing, because we can't do what we want until we know what we do. And we have a lot that's going on right now that we don't know what we do. And my prayers are that we are willing to engage in what early friends called the Lamb's War, which is waking up to our disorderly walking, waking up to how we've been socialized and assimilated into a culture, a dominant culture that isn't always loving and caring and compassionate and inclusive. And that's the values that we all hold. And so how do we create that? How do we take that step? And it's going to require for many of us to wake up to what we do and to be open to that. And so that's the difference between safe space, brave space, and sacred space. So when I think about the genius of Quakerism, that has affected me, that has made me the person that I am today, and has helped me to overcome a lot of the trauma that I experienced being a Hispanic Latino man raised in Southern California. I think that is that there's a guiding presence. This is the genius of Quakerism. There's a guiding presence that's available to each of us that transforms our lives. And when we're gathered in worship, it's an opportunity to practice the discipline of attentive and expectant silence, and the occasion of deep listening that opens us to this inward voice. And when the community gathers to attend to business, the process also grows from a cultivated and sustained openness to the presence as we deliberate and we discern and we proceed. And the shared belief that this guidance from this inward voice moves us towards unity and shapes the practice of our listening and our speaking and our clerking and our decision making. And if we look at queries and advices, they're a process that it helps us develop the sensitivities to these promptings of love and truth. And that our corporate practices are about this, our clearness practices. It's all about this revealing of the Spirit and understanding what truth is coming through, knowing that it changes all the time. It continually reveals itself. And so how do we stay in that place of wonder, that place of curiosity, that place of allowing each other to invade one another with the truth, with a truth that is alive, that we can feel, it palpates. It's something that's visceral in our bodies. How do we stay open to that? And that is the sacred space we're talking about, is how do we use our Quaker process that we already know and open ourselves to the Spirit's agenda as ouches are revealed to us in our processes together.